Okay. And so. Welcome, everyone. We are here for hot takes. And pretty much with hot takes, it's things that's happening in the community, in the headlines, and things of that sort. Lately on my feed, and even I want to say with my friendship and association, it's not, it seems like it's just so many things are happening in the world, but especially around relationships. I'm not here to particularly talk about relationship, but I am. I'm here really to talk about the relationship that you have with yourself. So, with actually a few of the headlines in a few days, in the past week, in the past couple of weeks, are pretty much about partners, spouses who have unalived their partner, their spouse. And the thing that really want to really talk about, this is for women, okay? For men, you can go to men. And generally, we do know that it can come across as pretty much it can come across as for both individuals, because pretty much what women say about men, what men say about women, they're really saying the same thing. I'm just going to say it just depends on where you are in your state. And this is why I need for you to pay attention. Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name is Sharon D. Brown. I am the founder of Self Care U Academy. And Self Care U Academy is for entrepreneurs and is for executives so that you can supercharge your self care so that you can sustain your sanity, thrive under pressure. You know what I mean? And with self care in and of itself, a lot of times people think it's something, like just to make you feel good. It is that, but it's also the other side of it, of you taking care of yourself, of you reflecting, of you being aware of yourself, of you going 7 layers deep, if you're doing the work so that you can be connected with yourself. It's not just to be connected with yourself to feel good, that is the goal, but it is also so that you can remain in alignment, so that you can be authentic and so that you can have agency over yourself. Because anytime you are not connected with yourself, and I'm putting it like this, if there's a deficit in any way, if we have, like internal wounds, it's like it shows up. So, with everything that's going on, if anything, I want to make sure you go to Lisa, is that Bilu? She had an interview with a therapist by the name of Aisha. And with Aisha, she was talking about her work with psychopaths and with narcissists and her experience, not only professionally, but personally too. Y'all make sure y'all go and see that. But if anything, it's like I kept saying, oh, I'm going to watch 15 minutes of this, even though I don't normally do that. I don't even know why I said that. But I said I was going to watch 15 minutes of it and end up watching the whole thing. And it, like some things, it validate, it confirmed, some thoughts I might have had, and it enlightened me as well. And one of the things I want to say too, that she said that was so profound, she was saying that a person who is manipulative, they can spot that can spot you, from across the room. It's like whatever our weakness is, whatever, I'm going to say, whatever that you're yearning, it's like some kind of way it comes through. Kind of just think about it. Kind of think about how sometimes you can enter a room or a circle and they can be somebody and you're like, what in the world? Sometimes we may be off key, but a lot of times we're not. It may not always be what you think, but there's something there. So just as we are able to kind of like, when it comes to somebody aura, it's like, ooh, there's something about it. You can't put your finger on it. Someone can do the same towards us. And we need to acknowledge that, because a lot of times we would like to think, I'm going to say this, by being a good person, by being a nice person, by being a kind person, it is not going to like shield you from someone who's only thinking about themselves. And the way I looked at this is that, like, even if you look at, I'm going to say this, we're all manipulative to a certain extent. Manipulative is always used in a negative way, but we manipulate so many different things. When we're problem solving, that's a form of manipulation. But the other thing I want to say too, sometimes I don't think that people want to like personally bring you down or personally manipulate you. They're really just going by what they're after. If they're a taker, they're just, doing all of that. The thing that I want you to remember is a part of self-care is to honor your standards, is to honor your principles, is to honor your values. And sometimes we think that we can or that we are, but for whatever reason, when people are in your proximity, when they're around you, if there's an emotional or physical proximity, it seems like some things go out the window, especially for someone that you will consider your friend. And if you are married, if you are in a committed relationship, I know that you want to look at that person as being, the one. And sometimes they're not, even if you're married to that person, even if you're involved with that person. And there's going to be disagreements. But look at your principles. It's like, is this person trustworthy? Is this person, can I depend on? Is this person honest? How do that person treat you? It's like, is it reciprocal, in what you do for each other? You know what I'm saying? And sometimes when people are in your circle or in your proximity, our guard seems to go down, our radar seems to go down. And I want to say it's normal for that to happen. And I don't have, let me say this, say this before I say the next thing. I don't have kids and I'm not married. I've been married before. I've been engaged before. Been involved in relationships before, learned lessons for anyone who have, had an experience in that, you have something that you can share with someone. So I'm saying that to say this, like for individuals who have children, and I've seen it, and I even seen this when I was a teenager, even when I was younger, I'm going to say especially in my young adulthood, and that people would say, I'm doing this for my child. I don't want my child to not, be without their parent. They can be without their parent in another home. They don't have to be in the same home. You know what I'm saying? But pretty much what I am saying is that you honoring your principles, standing your ground is so important. It is so spiritual. Because as you've, heard me come on here before, is that I've had an experience when I'm like, what in the world is going on? You know what I'm saying? And look at it this way. Look at experiences and things like that of what it reveals, not just of the other person, and what it reveals of you. Because sometimes, especially we as women, we can allow people to get away with something, or especially if people are in certain situations in which they may need some assistance or some help or a favor. There's nothing wrong with feeling sorry for someone, but you just may not be the one. You know what I'm saying? You may be the one to give them a guideline, but you may not be the one. And the thing is that this impacts you, the decisions that you make. I'm going to say this: when you do not honor your principles, your standards, that it's not just spiritually, and even when it comes to your soul, because again, we're not just even just talking about feel good things. And this is not a blaming thing. What I'm saying is, what I'm encouraging you to do is to follow your principles, write them down, because I even had to do that. Because one revelation that came to me is like, oh, okay, it's okay for me to withdraw my resources. It's okay for me to do the things that I need to do to take care of myself, because when I feel a discomfort in my body, I need to pay attention to that to see where is this coming from, because giving or being in relationships should not be depleting. And let me say this too: the mind is so powerful, but it's also fragile. It's kind of one of those things, even if you do it to yourself, in that if you continue to tell yourself the same thing over and over and over and over again, no matter what it is, whether it is self-criticism or self-affirming, whether it is a word or the word, you will believe whatever is repeated. So that's the same thing too when it comes to people outside of you. So it's kind of like if somebody gives you criticism, you got to tell yourself something 10 times, 10 times, 10 times to offset that. If it bothers you, if I always say sometimes we may need to look to see, you know what I'm saying? We may need to look to see if there's any validity to it. Is there any truth? Because sometimes we can improve. We may not like the delivery of something, the tone of how somebody says, and some people really do need to work on that. But the truth, as they say, will set you free. And so, what I'm saying is honor your principles. The other thing is everything doesn't need to be said, meaning to the person that you may have issues to, because some things need to be done strategically. Whew. And I'm going to step back a minute too. There's one thing that Aisha, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, that she said, and which I've said it before, and there's something that I believe too, is that, and this is really big, 10 people can experience the same person in 10 different ways. Look at yourself. Are you pretty much whatever behave, however you're around? I know, like, there are some individuals I could be just so relaxed and so honest and really, express myself and tell how it really is, where with someone else, I might, be careful with my words choice, and still try to, articulate what I'm trying to articulate. And sometimes it's just not that. And so I do have a question, and I am going to get to you, economy of freedom. And so the thing is that sometimes you may think, because you're a good person, a kind person, You may think that no one will do you wrong. You're the only person, to be honest, that truly has your best interest at heart. Trust that. Trust that. Because again, even though you're nice, even though you're kind, even though you're a good person, it does not erase you of coming into contact of someone doing you wrong. It doesn't erase that at all. It does not erase that. This is one of the reasons of why self-care is so important. This is one of the reasons why you write down your principles. This is one of the things that I've started telling people, write your principles down, because we forget it when people are in front of us. It's easier when people are over there. When they're in front of us, it's like, oh my. And you think and I'm not saying you're not being nice. Sometimes some people may not, and I'm not going to even say may not even have good intentions, because everybody isn't even manipulative, but they do not have there are some people who do not have your best interests at heart. You're the one who have your best interests at heart. It's okay to say no. It is okay, because I can tell you, anytime I went against my own principle, anytime I did not say no, who paid for it? In some kind of way. Who paid for it? In some kind of way. And so the thing is that it is very important for you to sit with yourself, to really look at things, because if something is draining you, something is not right. I can attest to that. And I know, about giving and doing God's will. God's will is for you. There is a line that has to be drawn, and it is not worth it. Now, I'm going to get back to something I was saying before. Sometimes there are individuals, you just may not know that about them. People behave in different ways. It doesn't mean that someone is masking or putting up a front or anything like that per se, because they are different. I'm different with different people. Like, even when it comes to my best friends, we have different conversations. We do things, different when it comes to socially. So it's just that we all have different parts of ourselves. But if you are around someone, it could be family, friend, or foe, and they are draining you, some people you may not need to be around with. Some people you may need to cut off. There's some people you may need to bow out, figure out a way of how you can not be in their presence, or them not being in your presence. Because it's important for you to be in alignment with you. It's important for you to be in alignment what God has for you. Because sometimes some of the things that you may be doing may be against the word. And we want you to be connected with you, because as an entrepreneur, you have a calling. We want you to be safe. The only way that you can be safe is where you can be in alignment. You have to figure out what is out of alignment. There are people, places, and things, and there are times in which we put ourselves in the line of fire. I'm saying, oh, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. Oh, well, I know, but this is important for them. What about you? What about you? That's the thing. What about you? Because it is so important for you to have agency over your life. Because if not, it will knock you down and lock you down. But you have the power to set you free. No one else is coming to save you, and that is for real. And so there were a couple other things I was going to talk about for this hot take, but I'm going to leave it right there because that is a lot. The thing is to write down your principles, look at them, look to see, because sometimes you could be putting some things on there, but then you're not even honoring them for yourself or even for others. Because sometimes, I guess you could say it can feel good, we want it in return, but you have to be able to give it. And even let's just say about being honest. We say we want, honesty, but when someone speak their truth, sometimes it can be their perception, but are you willing and able to sit? And then when we're talking about, like sitting in silence, it's not always, like, oh, to feel so happy. It's sometimes to do some internal work, sometimes to do that shadow work. Because going back to what I've said before, is that I'm going to say some people have the ability to see your weakness and use it against you. So this is another reason to be on a healing journey. Healing is for life. Now, doesn't mean that you're a bad person because you're healing, that you're not strong, that you're not confident, that you're not courageous. No, there's different levels of healing. I mean, one example that I can use is that, after the breakup, I cried for 40 days and 40 nights. The first week was about the person, but after that, I'm like, what is going on here? And I had to go deep within myself. And it's not a process that you can rush. It hurts. There's heartache. And I'm like, what is this? And then there was one night I was like, keep crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. And it revealed to me, oh, there's some daddy issues there. I was yearning for my dad. Then I did some deep work regarding that. And again, sometimes when it comes to the hurt of our parents, it can be really deep. And we may not always know what it is on the surface. That's one reason for therapy, but that's also the reason for shadow work. That's also the reason for you to go deep down within yourself so that you can, unearth things that may be holding you back. Because some of those things can interfere not just with you, but also within your business, within your calling, what you're here for. Because those things will creep up. And then along with that, a few years later, I had an experience. It's like I had a friendship, we would click and then clack. It's like, what in the world is going on? And then as I continue to work on myself to go deep, I was like, again, it's the mirror that it was showing me. I'm pulling my dad's coattail. Because sometimes the things that we did not get, and you may not even know it, because I always say I have no ill feelings regarding my dad, but evidently deep within me, there was a yearn. I'm going to say for him, for his love, for his attention, for his validation. And so in saying that, subconsciously, you could be yearning that. You may not even be conscious of it. But one way that you can tell is, what do you seek? What do you want from other people? Some of those things can be, let's say your wants and your desires. They may not always be a part of your principles. But anything that you may be yearning for may be the very thing that needs to be internally resolved. It's like, oh, okay. Now, it still doesn't account for someone not being reciprocal, let's say when favors are needed and things like that, or just being takers, it's still, it doesn't condone that at all, But look at what gets revealed. And this is why sitting in silence is so important, especially as an entrepreneur. And one of the things that I have done is I've created Fortitude Free Circle, where it allows entrepreneurs to have a space where you can keep up the pace, where you can create your own pace, because there's a lot of things that needs to be done. But with those things in that, one of those things is sitting in silence. One of those things is breathing. It's not just so that you can feel better. It's to get you through the mud. It can get you up the mountain. It can get you through the wilderness. Because without, having some type of awareness, without seeing some things, having some type of enlightenment and revelations, but also in doing the work, because that's where it comes from. And so the main thing is to write down your principles. Look at them. Anytime you're having a problem in life with people, places, and things, look and see, is there anything that's out of alignment when it comes to your principles? Because if it's out of alignment, let's just say it needs to be addressed. And if anything, people honor that, because it's not just about giving others what they want. Yeah, they're appreciative, but they're not appreciating, to be honest, with certain type of people. And so for those of you who are entrepreneurs, who are women entrepreneurs, you're like, hey, I need a space where, I got a project, or I need to do some shadow work. I need a place in which that's going to help me to at least remember to sit down. Because one of the things that, I say a couple of the things that we do inside the circle, the main premise of Fortitude Free Circle is so that you can build discipline. Build the discipline so you can sit with yourself. Because if we're not sitting with ourselves, we miss so much. And it also allows you to embrace the challenges, meaning don't go against the grain. Do not become so detached because it's overwhelming. Do not remove yourself. Do not avoid the challenges. The challenges help us through the mud, help us through the storm. It's to pay attention and to sustain resilience, meaning come inside Fortitude Free Circle so that when it comes to the rituals, with everything that's happening in the world, but with the collective grief, with the collective, depression, the collective things that comes inside the world, we are impacted by it. The things that's going on in your family, the things that are going on with your finances, the things that's going on in the world, the things that's going on with your business. Have a place where you can go, where you can just be. Because we need that too. As much as we're up and going, you're doing your thing, but make sure you have that opportunity, one, to strengthen your resilience. This is something that I've seen that we don't always do. But if anything, I want you to honor yourself. Because there are some people, as long as you're willing to give, they will continue to take. And it's okay to withdraw your resources. Look at your assets, because sometimes you emotionally, you may not even have the capacity to give. And so we want you to be able to do that. So for those of you, if this resonated with anyone, comment circle so you can get more information. Or if you're just ready to join the circle, come on in, because we cannot do this by ourselves. We need to have more conversations. But if anything, I'm going to tell you this before I leave. One thing that I've learned as a therapist, one thing I've learned about being in the mental health field that we do not do enough of is when it comes to our habits, our patterns, our actions. We don't do enough of sitting still. We don't do enough of internal work. We don't do enough of the things that helps to give ourselves the agency, the confidence to do what needs to be done, to be courageous in doing those things. And being in a circle that helps remind you and also guide you and lead the way in doing that, this is what it's for. Stop doing things completely by yourself. And I'm like this, even if you don't talk, then I can't tell you how many times, whether it's a book club, I'm in a circle, that how much I've learned about myself. Because, I may be going like, do, 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 like, oh, what? Sometimes even as a therapist, there's some things I may not even have the language for because I'm more of a feeling type of person. Like something is off, I don't know what it is. But what I want you to do is to be able to sit with yourself. And that's something that you can do inside the circle. It sounds simple, but let me tell you, you're not going to be able to resolve anything if you don't know what you're resolving, because sometimes the things that need to be resolved may not be on the outside, it may be on the inside. We want you to be able to stand up for yourself so you can have agency over your life, so you can be in alignment. But anyway, for those of you who are ready to come inside the circle, comment circle.